Hello and welcome to Beyond the Hustle. I'm Alice, a certified NLP mindset and women's health coach, and I'm so beyond excited you're here. This podcast is for the human behind the success, the woman behind the business, behind the grind of building that legacy. Here we dive deep into mindset, rewiring your subconscious mind, nervous system regulation, and energetics. Basically everything that helps you feel grounded and grow sustainably. Whether you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, burnt out, or ready to step into your next level of success and self, this podcast will give you the tools, insights, and shifts to help you move forward with clarity, calm, and conviction. So if you're ready to stop hustling from fear and finally build success that feels as good as it looks, you're in the right place. Welcome to Beyond the Hustle. Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Hustle podcast, the podcast for building the human that you are behind the business and behind the success. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I've tried to do this podcast like twice now and it just wasn't flowing. So I have fucked off my notes and I'm just going to actually just riff because I truly feel that when I am actually just riffing, that's when it lands and that's when it comes out, and I already know it up here. So let's try this again. But if you are watching this, you'll know, or listening to this, you'll already know by the title of this episode that we are going into the reason as to why business advice is actually not going to fix your lack of sales, your lack of scalability, or like the problems that you're facing in your business. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring this conversation to light is because I have so many clients of mine who have invested in, thousands of pounds into business mentors, into courses to be told to build a certain way, that they should be doing this, they should post like this. And more often than not, it's actually not a strategy problem. It actually is more of a you problem, okay? And I say that lightly, we will absolutely get into this, right? But this is really going to be a conversation for you if you are someone who has tried multiple different strategies, you've tried the courses, you've tried pivoting your niche, pivoting your messaging, trying more content strategies. If you've invested in the courses that are the, 0 to 10K months in 90 days or your first 100K challenge, there was definitely time and place for those kind of challenges. And I don't feel they're as big now, but nonetheless, if you have invested them in the past, then this is a conversation for you, because something that I know is, and I say this all the time, is that you can have the literal perfect strategy, but if you do not have the trust, the self-belief, the confidence, conviction behind you to actually go and execute on that strategy, it is also just simply not going to work. Now, before you say anything, it actually can't be that simple, okay? You're probably listening to this going, Alice, it's not that simple. It quite literally is. Now, something I really want to relate this to, and I want you to just bear with me and just hear me out on this, okay? Because the World Cup is currently on right now, okay? Now, I've been watching some of the games, quite a lot of the games to be fair. I used to play football when I was younger, not for many years, okay? Now, when I am watching the games with my partner, I still don't understand a lot of the rules, even though I played it when I was younger. C'est la vie, it is what it is, right? But when it comes to the World Cup, right, I am fully aware that I am going to be probably slated for saying this. Again, bear with me, okay? But each team in the World Cup on the football, pitch, on the football pitch, they have the same strategies to use, okay? Right. Ultimately, the main objective is to kick the ball into a net and make sure it doesn't go in your net, okay? Like, listen, I know that's very dumbing it down, that's simplifying it, that's very like girl mathing it, but ultimately, you kick a ball, okay? You get it into your net, you get a goal, c'est la vie, you get a point, right? Whatever it may be. I don't understand the full ins and outs of the World Cup, but it is what it is. You kick a ball, okay? And each team on the pitch and who come onto the pitch, they have the same strategies, right? They'll have the same tactics. They'll have the same ways that they can kick a ball. There's only so many ways you can kick a ball at the end of the day, okay? They're going to have the same strategies. They're going to have the same formations or slightly different, whether it's 4-4-2 or 4-3, whatever it may be. They're going to have formations. They're going to have strategies. They're going to have their tactics, right? But every single team on that pitch could have the same strategy, okay? They could have the same tactics. Like I said, there's only so many ways you can kick a ball. There's only so many ways you can actually differentiate that, right? Even down to the players on the pitch, you've got a certain amount of defenders, strikers, midfielders, insert the thing, right? Whatever it may be, okay? The players are the same, whilst I know they are quite literally not the same, but they are the same, right? So when we look at, actually winning the World Cup from a strategic point of view, everyone has the same fucking strategy. Everyone could do the same thing. They could have the perfect strategy. The only actual difference on if they're going to win it or if they are going to be more confident on the pitch is down to their self-belief and their self-trust and like their teamwork and their ability to like actually execute on the things that they know. there is going to be a difference between one team going onto that pitch, and I love how I'm making this into a World Cup analogy here. There's going to be a difference between one team going on who is, very much like, oh, we are going to win. Like, we know what we're doing. We genuinely believe we can handle this. We can handle the pressure. We can handle the load. We can handle we can handle the ball, and we're good with it. And we know what to do. We've got a confident strategy. Like, we can very much work together and we're going to win this. And they've got the confidence and the conviction to, we're going to win that 2026 World Cup, right? There's a difference between that team versus a team that comes on who's like, holy fucking shit, like, I'm terrified to handle this pressure. I'm terrified to, what if I fail? What if I fuck up? What if I make a mistake? What if I make an own goal? What if this happens, right? Like, very much not confident in their ability to actually hold the World Cup and hold that challenge. There is going to be a difference in how they perform versus how the other team performs, right? So, did I not say bear with me? It makes sense. It comes full circle. So the only real difference is on that pitch is actually the team's ability to execute, team's ability to feel confident and convicted in what they're actually doing, their ability to follow through and not, fall under pressure, not crumble under pressure, not crumble under, oh, this feels like it's way too much, the overwhelm, the anxiety. I imagine there's a lot of adrenaline on that day, and not being able to crumble under that adrenaline, okay? That is the only difference, right? And it goes the exact same with our businesses, right? There is, and so many people are like, oh, the industry is so saturated and blah, 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 right? The industry is only saturated if you also allow it to be saturated, okay? In the nicest way possible, okay? Because you could be on, again, a football pitch with all the other people who are in your industry. If you go onto that pitch and you're like, I can fucking do this, and I know what I'm doing, I trust myself, I can follow through, I can execute, I can handle the load, I can handle the pressure, I can handle this, I can handle the success, I can hold it, I know that I'm going to feel good holding it and doing it, you are going to absolutely walk onto that pitch with your head held high, like actually owning the space, right? You're going to go and make a fucking goal, right? Versus if you go onto that pitch and you are going, okay, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to post. I don't know how to kick the ball. I don't know, what do I do if this happens? What if I fail? What if I fuck up? What if I make a mistake? Oh my gosh, this feels really overwhelming. I need to get rid of this feeling. And okay, I now feel really tired. And okay, maybe I should just pull back. Maybe I should just pivot. Maybe I should just change. Equally, also, if you are like, again, if we just take it as a player, like if you're kicked the ball and you have a certain strategy that you have to follow and you choose midway soon to get that ball to go, oh, never mind, I'm going to change strategy, your team's going to be fucking pissed with you. If you're listening to this podcast and recognizing that you are in a constant cycle of burnout in business, you're always thinking about business, always carrying the mental load of a long to-do list and the responsibilities of a business owner, always feeling like you're unable to switch off, be present in your life and enjoy the success you've built, then this space is for you. Because if you've built the success you once wanted, but you still find yourself feeling stressed, disconnected, or strangely unfulfilled by it all, the answer really isn't another strategy, another productivity hack, or another thing to add to your already full plate. The answer is rewiring your identity, removing the beliefs and fears keeping you in this burnout cycle and focusing on you as the strategy first. Inside my one-to-one coaching, we always start with an in-depth audit to understand what is truly capping your success where you are, the top 3 to 5 blocks that are limiting you in the season you're in. Then we focus on rewiring your mind using NLP techniques and one-to-one support to elevate the human behind the business so you can actually hold more success with ease instead of burnout. If you're ready to rebuild your success from the inside out, head to the links in the show notes or slide into my DMs for more information. Now, let's get back to the episode. So yeah, if you're walking to the pitch and you're panicking and you're falling into that pressure, you're crumbling into that pressure and you're going, this is too much, I can't do this, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fuck up, that is what you're going to do and you're not going to execute the strategy. So where we look at having all these other strategies, at the end of the day, running a business, there is like only so many ways that you can run a business. There's only so many ways that you can attract leads and do the thing. The difference is in actually how you actually operate and how you actually go and allow yourself to do that. And if you are sitting there and you're like, you know what, like I always try and, pivot the strategy midway through, or I'm always telling myself I don't know what to do and I don't know what to post, right? I'm always trying to look for answers in other people. You already know what to do. I just want to say that first and foremost. You actually already know what to do. You're just not allowing yourself to execute and actually go and do the thing that you know what to do. But I really want you to start like looking at this as, okay, if I was playing the World Cup, if I was on that pitch and I had the strategy, and I already knew the strategy. What am I doing when I get kicked the ball? When I'm holding the ball, what am I doing? Right? Because holding the ball is holding the strategy. What am I doing when I'm actually executing? And I was actually having this conversation with one of the clients in my June intensive yesterday, which is a group space that I have just now, which is absolutely incredible. And one of my clients in there was saying, okay, I feel like I'm getting really, really overwhelmed and going, I don't know what to say when it comes to posting. And it's making it really confusing for me. And I'm going, I don't know if I should make this kind of post, or if I should make this kind of post, or if I should do this. And then I'm like, I want to speak to this, but I don't know how to speak to it. And I was like, let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there, my gal. I know that you know the answer to this because you've actually said it earlier in the call. And I was like, I was like, you have literally just had literal messages from people saying that, you know, they love your content and they feel really seen in it, and it makes sense to them. You've also had someone say yes to an offer that you've put out for them as well. So I was like, why are we now panicking? And she was like, okay, well, what it came down to is her default is to go back to pitching is to pivoting the strategy. So she's always looking for a different strategy, because she's always looking at, okay, this isn't working, this not working, I need to do this, I need to change. Right now, if you're only ever doing that, you are breaking not only your momentum in business, you're also breaking your self-trust, and you're also breaking trust of other people as well. If you are not allowing yourself, again, if we take this, I don't know why I'm running this like footballer analogy home, but I've clearly been watching Women's World Cup. But if you are like a footballer going onto a pitch, people know you for a certain thing. People get to know you for a certain thing. People get to know you for what you are really, really good at, right? If you are Ronaldo, who is really good at striking, I think that's what he's good at, right? If you're Ronaldo and you're really, really good at striking, imagine when trying to build up that reputation, he was going, oh, I'm going to strike. Oh, but now I'm going to defend. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to strike. Now I'm going to defend. Then I'm going to go to midfield. Then I'm going to, like, people wouldn't know what the fuck it is that he's actually good at. They don't know his strengths. Therefore, he's just going to be another, like, person on that pitch, right? The more that you are switching strategies, you're allowing yourself just to be another person in this industry rather than the person that you actually are, rather than the human that you are, rather than the business owner that you actually are. And that's why the strategy isn't going to fix that, because it's your consistency at the end of the day. It's your ability to actually execute and follow through with that confidence and conviction. So I want you to, like I said, firstly, just really, really allow yourself to be brutally honest with yourself. When you are kicked the ball, when you are actually being consistent in your strategy, when you're doing the thing, when you're showing up, what are you not executing? What's the point in which you're trying to pivot and change, and why? Right? What's the reason? Is it because you get hit the ball and you are like, oh my gosh, this feels like too much? Or let's say, for example, inquiries are starting to come in, or you're not allowing yourself to recognize the wins and the inquiries that you actually do have. That's another story for a different day. What is it that you're always trying to change, and why? Is it that it's too overwhelming? So you're like, it needs to not be overwhelming. Is it that it feels like it's not working? If so, how long have you actually been consistent in it? Or are you just trying to look for like shiny toy syndrome and look for a different strategy? Okay. Anyway, my gosh, that was a ramble. I really hope that made sense. But the last thing that I also will say to this as well is, when it comes to looking at like our businesses and looking for strategies, so often we always look at like the top of the iceberg. Okay, so if we imagine that so I'm giving you another analogy here, but if we imagine that your business is like an iceberg, right? You've got the top of the iceberg, which we can see, which is like the external problems. Okay, maybe I'm struggling with lack of sales, maybe I'm struggling with lack of inquiries, maybe I'm like have this idea for an offer, but I'm not really sure what I want it to look like, right? Those are like your problems on the top, right? Oh, I'm lacking the financial stability that I want, right? Those are the problems on the top of the iceberg. What people often do so many times is forget to look at what's underneath that, and that is going to be a fucking mammoth of an iceberg. That is going to be a massive iceberg, right? Underneath the externals is going to be your self-trust, your nervous system and your capacity, your energetic state, your subconscious mind, so your thoughts, your habits, your patterns, your self-belief, all of that is going to make up a much larger portion of this iceberg than the external problems. And that's what you really need to start focusing on and looking at, because the more that you focus on the external and not actually the internal, the more you're just expecting yourself as a human behind the business to kind of just play catch up and just play ball, right? But the more that you're going to get to a certain point in your business, and and realize that I'm still struggling with the same thing because I'm not actually addressing the internal problem and the internal limitations and bottlenecks, right? Because more often than not, your lack of sales is probably down to the fact that you are not putting yourself in a position to actually sell with conviction and sell with confidence. You are not, reaching out to people. You're not selling with conviction, not selling in a way that actually is attracting because you're so afraid of being told no that you're actually now repelling. Sorry, but you're now repelling sales. If you are struggling with not sure what to post, it's probably because you are, burning yourself to the ground and then expecting yourself to come up with 10 out of 10 content, or you're comparing yourself to all these other people who are doing the thing and, all these other people who are kicking the ball in a certain way. And they're better at this and they're better at that. And look at what they're saying here. And oh, well, now I'm a fraud. Now I'm not good. Like, I'm not good enough because they know more than me and they're better than me and they're more successful than me. And you're comparing, which is then actually diluting and disrupting your creativity, right? So there's so many different reasons as to why you are going to be struggling in the external, but they all start with the internal. And that's what I always say to people, is that you are the best strategy for your business. If you focus on actually allowing your internal to match up with your external, you are going to collapse time. You are going to achieve your goals at a faster rate. You're also going to get there and actually enjoy the process and enjoy the business that you've built. Rather than always focusing on the external and just assuming that you internally will catch up, that's like kicking a ball, again, football analogy. That's like, kicking a ball into the wing when there's no one fucking there and expecting them to absolutely run like Usain Bolt to that and catch up, right? It does not work. It does not work. You see it all the time if you do watch football. That does not work. There's a reason players don't do that, because it doesn't work, okay? So start looking at actually what's underneath the strategy. If you're hitting the same problem in your business, there's a reason, and that comes from you. It does not come from your strategy. It doesn't come from, the way that you're posting. It doesn't come from the offers that you have, or it doesn't come from the way that you're necessarily like selling. It comes from what's underneath that. It comes from who you are beneath that and who you are behind the business and beyond the business. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed these analogies. Many analogies for you today. And I hope that you guys are having a lovely day, and I will see you guys in the next episode. And lastly, if you did enjoy this episode, then please would love for you guys to like, comment, and also would love for you to follow the podcast. I have noticed that a lot of the followers just now are tuning in, listening, which we love, but not as many are following the podcast. So I would love if you could hit the follow button, so you will never miss an episode, for one thing. But also, I am bringing some exciting guests onto the episode this year, and it would really help me out if you could follow. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. I hope you're having a lovely day. See ya.